Andy, I know you've never been happier than when you're sitting by a warm fire, snuggled up in a flannel and basking in the glow of an old-school budget spreadsheet.
It is a special day I can shut down the world for a little me time.
In a world full of applications, why do these antiquated documents and spreadsheets still run the world? And why haven't they been updated in over 50 years? That's why we want to talk about Coda.
Coda is a new kind of doc that brings words, data, and teams together. It comes with a set of building blocks that anyone can combine to create a doc as powerful as an app.
Coda runs our entire business here at True Story FM, from show scheduling across dozens of podcasts and scripts for thousands of episodes, to budgets and plans and wikis and more.
Coda lets us see our business in a new light. If you'd like to shine a light on productivity in your business and save money along the way, check out Coda today at thenextreel.com/Coda. It's hard to believe that we've been having in-depth weekly conversations about movies since 2011.
So many great conversations over the years about so many great movies. All that said, producing this show week after week requires a ton of work behind the scenes.
Becoming a Next Reel member gives you access to all sorts of additional and exclusive content. Plus, you're helping us keep the lights on. Just head to thenextreel.com/membership, where you can learn more about becoming a member, which costs a measly $5 a month, practically the same as one fancy coffee drink. And you get so much more.
Every month, we record a bonus episode exclusively for members. Those episodes cover movies from whatever series we're covering at the moment, or add to previous series.
Some movies we've covered that only members get to hear us discuss include The Blues Brothers,
The Russia House,
Naked Lunch,
Independence Day,
The Hot Rock,
and Relic, the better one. Plus, members get to vote on what we're going to discuss for those episodes.
We also record additional pre- and post-show content in regular episodes that only members get to hear,
like conversations about similarly themed movies.
And answering listener questions from our live member chat.
Speaking of our live member chat, we record almost all of our episodes in Discord, where members can chat right along with us live.
Members get access to other members-only channels in our Discord community as well. On top of all that, members get all episodes a full week earlier than everyone else in a private Next Reel feed just for them that includes all the shows in the Next Reel family. The Next Reel, the Film Board,
movies we like, Sitting in the Dark, and more new projects on the way.
To top it all off, members don't have to listen to ads. We've already eliminated those annoying, dynamically inserted ads that, let's face it, we all hated.
We are listening to you.
We love podcasting for a living, and those ads help to pay the bills. Now, we're counting on you, dear listener.
We promise we aren't going back to those terrible, dynamically inserted ads that don't relate to us at all. All we ask is that you consider supporting the Next Reel family of podcasts with a membership.
Again, it's $5 per month or $55 per year. Just head to thenextreel.com/membership.
thenextreel.com/membership. Get your access to early, ad-free episodes with bonus content, member bonus episodes, and access to member channels and live streams in Discord by signing up today.
Welcome to Take 10.
Welcome to Take 10. This is one of your hosts, Kyle Olson. Along with me is my partner in crime, Rob Cabasco.
Hey, what's going on?
Hey, today we're talking about director's cuts. So we have each picked 5 that we're going to talk about. Now, this isn't necessarily saying, like, these are the best director's cuts, these are the ones, but these are the ones that each of us thought would be worthy of discussion. And neither of us know what the other one is going to have. So will there be overlap? Will there be arguments? Will we pick the exact 5 same ones? It's very possible.
Oh, there is a small chance there'll be no arguments because I made my list, as I'm sure you did too, out of love. These are the director's editions that I adore.
Yeah, I don't know if I'll go that far because I wanted to show a little bit of a difference. There's at least one I put on here that I wanted to talk about because to show that maybe the director's cuts aren't always the best choices.
Oh.
So look forward to that one in the future. So
Oh, I definitely am. All right.
yeah.
All right.
Okay, so let's talk about our director's cuts 5. So why don't you take the first one? What is the first on your list of director's cuts?
Okay, so I uploaded this one in my list digitally here. This is my first one, and it's going to be an odd choice. It's a fan favorite movie. This is 1999's Brad Bird's The Iron Giant. And if you say, wait a minute, director's cut, what are you talking about? So there was a moment, I believe this is 2016, the signature edition DVD Blu-ray was released. And in that is, I mean, you could call a director's cut, and we're going to talk, by the way, some of the movies we're going to talk about, they're not technically director's cuts.
Exactly.
They're named
Yeah,
other things.
I should have specified
Right.
that. Yeah, because
No, that's fine.
We're using the term director's cut just because people know that, but alternate cut. I mean, like there's been all sorts of different terminology. Special edition, producers cuts.
Not the theatrical cut. This is something different than what was released in theaters.
Right.
So here's the thing. This is a version that, and I tried to look and see if you can find it on digital. I don't know. I think this might just be Blu-ray. But there's just 3 changes to the movie. Okay, so if you're a fan of The Iron Giant, you should be. It's just there's a couple of more lines of dialogue where Dean, this is Harry Connick Jr.'s character, is talking to Annie, which is Jennifer Aniston's character. And there's a diner scene. There's some alternate material in terms of they actually had an issue with licensing where there's a TV depicted and a commercial is playing. And on the new version, the commercial is for Disney's Tomorrowland attraction. And they couldn't use it in the theatrical because they didn't have the licensing to do it. And they ended up getting it. Disney played nice, and they were able to get it. Right.
I believe Brad Bird went on to direct the movie, so I think he probably had some friends over there at that
exactly. Well, and Disney in general. I mean, then he went on to Pixar, So,
Sure.
I mean, totally makes sense. But the big reason why you need to watch this is that there is, about an hour into the movie, there is a sequence where Dean is sleeping in front of his television set. And this is the moment where the giant is sleeping in the junkyard. And the giant has a nightmare. And the nightmare gets broadcast to the television that's in Dean's room. What's amazing about this sequence is the nightmare is the Iron Giant's world realized. And you get to see the army of Iron Giants and them going to these worlds and destroying them. And he is part of this armada. And it's this nightmare that he's having because he's thinking about what he was made for as opposed to what he can choose to be, which is the entire the main plot of the movie, I should say. What's really neat about it is it gives you a much more, when it gets to the end of the movie, spoilers, you already knew you were going to get these, where he's like, Hogarth is like, you can choose what you want to be.
Yeah.
It's even giving you more of the understanding that it is someone who is made for something and they are choosing to be diametrically something else. And I think it adds so much more power. And I believe in that sequence that there is even a moment where you realize you see the Iron Giant's perspective of Hogarth turning the switch at the power plant. So you understand that it's the Iron Giant is changing his whole metamorphosis in terms of changing his direction of what he's going to use his powers for. It's all bent on Hogarth's act of mercy. So he sees it, and that's how he knows, wow, somebody did something for me. I wasn't built for that. I was built to just destroy and raise hell and just, do whatever.
Yeah.
It's not, you can't make that movie more perfect. But wow, it actually brings so much more meaning to the Giant's journey. It's totally worth seeing. I mean, I already love that movie. That movie is one of my top favorites of all time. Just that extra the minute and a half, 2 minutes. Yeah, totally. Signature edition Iron Giant.
Nice. I didn't even know that existed. And I say it's very rare that they do that for animated films.
Correct. Yes.
Because of how expensive animation, time consuming it is in that time, especially for traditional hand-drawn animation. Like now with CG, I think they're a little bit too liberal with that, actually.
Right.
Where they're just like, we could just re-render it, it's fine.
Well, and I think that was the Iron Giant where, I mean, everyone knows the kind of story is Iron Giant flopped when it came out. Warner Brothers did a horrible job on the distribution of it in 99. Mm-hmm. Well, it became a cult classic, and I think, 2016, I think, is when this came out. The rise of the Iron Giant really came back. They were like, we can spend money on that, sure.
So much so that either Iron Giant not only shows up in Ready Player One, but he just showed up in the Space Jam New Legacy trailer too. So he's now part of the Warner Brothers collection of characters. And I think that's fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it makes me think of like very rarely Disney does special editions too. Like they might be on your list, so I don't want to specify. But like like they added a new animated sequence to Lion King. They added a new animated sequence to Beauty and the Beast, which is interesting because some of the performers weren't alive anymore, so it was got a little weird with adding in different voices and stuff too. But I don't know. At the time, a lot of these actually came out at the time the DVDs were king and into Blu-rays and stuff too. Right. Now that seems to be going away, and I think we're going to lose some of that. So that actually brings me to my first one. Because a few years back, I was shopping at a Big Lots, and actually they actually still had some DVDs on there, and so I managed to track down the deluxe collector's edition box set of Troy.
Oh.
So Troy was a movie that came out and also was not a commercial success, but it did okay, but it got kind of derided a lot. But then because DVDs were a big thing, they allowed Wolfgang Petersen to go back and sort of redo a lot of the things that he had wanted that were originally in that they made him take out to make it short, because they just wanted it. I think Warner Brothers went, okay, sure, Troy and the horse and the people fighting or whatever, but this is a Brad Pitt action movie, right?
I was just going to say, yeah.
I think that's pretty much what they wanted. He's obviously Brad Pitt, not only he's on the poster, like he's the guy, and so I think people went in expecting it to be, I don't know, 300, and it definitely was not. So. No. And I really enjoyed the original thing, but then when I saw the director's cut, I kind of then understood what he was doing, because it makes it such a bigger, fuller movie. It adds an extra half hour of footage, including framing sequences. Like there's a lot of stuff people who are, I guess, fans of the book. It's a weird thing to say about something that's older than like most countries. They decided to do the story of Troy, or the Iliad, without having the gods as characters in it. So they're like, okay, what is it just from the perspective of men? So they sort of eliminated that. They don't have anybody in togas and beards like from above, setting down powers or anything. They cut all this stuff out. Well, when they add the director's cut, they add back in the people's perspective on that. So they actually have the priests talking about, well, I think Poseidon feels this way. Well, I think that Zeus feels this. Like they have that as part of. They like, okay, so they're showing sort of the priests counseling people, and then the generals not caring at all about that kind of stuff. I mean, it adds another layer to it. Plus, for a movie that has a lot of sex and violence, it adds a lot more sex and violence to it.
Yeah, that's going to be a theme, I think, in some of the movies.
A lot of the director's cut is sort of like what would not go over well in movie theaters,
theater runtimes, and movie rating.
I really think people should go back and take a second look at this. I mean, like, just if you're a fan of Game of Thrones, you should go back and look at this, because one of the writers of Game of Thrones wrote Troy. Like before he got into dragons, he was still doing swords and sandals. Like, it's the same kind of idea. So if you like that sort of blood and guts storytelling, that's right here. And this cast is still, like, this movie was out in 2004. It's 2021, and this cast is still phenomenal. Peter O'Toole in one of his final roles, Rose Byrne, Brendan Gleeson, Sean Bean, and he lives. Brian Cox, Diane Kruger, Orlando Bloom, Eric Bana, and of course Brad Pitt. I really think that this was overlooked. I think people sort of dismissed it really because it wasn't what they thought it was going to be, but I find it highly quotable. It's got great action. Wolfgang Petersen really knows how to do an epic. And so, the Troy director's cut is my number one. I think it's one of my, it has, like, that director's cut is in my top 20 movies of all time.
You make it almost sound like the movie doesn't even have an Achilles heel.
Some might say Brad Pitt is the Achilles heel.
There we go. No. Well, okay, wait, that's an interesting question.
Yeah.
If you had to recast Brad Pitt, because that was what I remember when I saw it in the theater.
Oh yeah, I think if you go back and look at the criticism of it, that's their biggest criticism is like, that Brad Pitt is miscast, or like it's not enough Brad Pitt, or what. I mean, like there's always a certain backlash when somebody gets really big really fast, and I feel like a lot of times the movies suffer for it, because Eric Bana is phenomenal in this, and like nobody talks about him at all because it was all about Brad.
Well, okay, you know what? It's my turn, right?
Yes, it is.
Okay, I'm gonna go with. Well, I'm gonna go with one. I'm actually gonna go out of order because I just have to bring this up because this makes me laugh.
Sure.
The next movie I'm about to tell you was a movie that I bought on optical media, but I did not buy on DVD. I did not buy on Blu-ray.
Okay.
I bought it on HD DVD.
I actually bought Troy on HD DVD too, but
So, and for those of you who are like, what are you talking about?
yeah.
There was a format war, not beta VHS. You may not even be old enough to know what that is.
Yeah.
There was Blu-ray and HD DVD, and the difference was the Blu-ray boxes were blue, the HD DVD were red. Yeah, you know what happened. Anyway, so I'm gonna go right to Superman 2, the Donner cut.
Oh, nice.
Now,
Yeah,
okay,
good
so
choice.
for anybody who doesn't know this, Superman 2 was the sequel with Christopher Reeve. This is the 1980 sequel. As happens in a lot of times with movies, Richard Donner, who was the director, they basically filmed Superman and Superman 2 like concurrently, right? And then he fell out of good graces with the Salkins and I guess a few other people in the production. They brought in Richard Lester, who was the one who actually then recut Superman 2 and then completed the film. That was actually the theatrical version of the movie.
Wow, Rob, you're telling me that
It's
a
really
director
interesting.
shot a movie,
Yeah.
a superhero movie, and then fell out of
DC
grace, and
a
then it was
DC
taken
superhero
from
movie.
him, and then they brought in someone else to finish it, and people were unhappy with the results, and then he got to go back later and recut the movie? That's... Wow,
One of his movies is later on down the list. Don't worry. So what I'm going to tell you. So here's the deal. If you're familiar with this, it is. I mean, I certainly grew up thinking it was the better movie. I thought this Superman 2, released in theaters, was better than the original Superman movie, right? And plus Christopher Reeve is just amazing. I mean, just General
Yes.
Zod, Terrence Stamp. I mean, just the whole thing of
Ursa.
incredible. It's awesome.
yeah.
Now, in 2006, they re-edited and released the director's cut. So that's the version that this is I'm talking about. What's the difference? A lot. If you've never seen it, here's the thing. What's the big difference is? It's a lot less funny than what you saw in theaters, the original version. Definitely, Donner was trying to play it much more serious. But, I mean, in addition to a lot of different plot points are different, one of the big differences when I first saw it, just struck me was, in the original theatrical cut, Lois has a pretty good idea that Clark Kent is Superman. She is messing around with him. They get sent on this undercover thing in Niagara Falls. There was a honeymoon suite.
Bye-bye, baby.
Yeah, it's so ridiculous, right? And there's a moment where she is trying to trick Clark into revealing that he's Superman. And there's a moment in the original theatrical release where they have this fire pit in the room. It's like a smokeless charcoal pit. He falls into it. She goes to be like, "Are you okay?" And he's like, "No, don't look." And she finally sees his hands, and there's no marks in his hands. And she's like, "Wow, you really are Superman." And he gets upset, and he ends up being Superman. Do you know do you know what happens in the original cut of the movie?
I don't remember.
She shoots him. There is a moment in
Wow.
the suite. She pulls out a gun, and she's like, "Hey, you know what? Let's see. I think you're Superman." And pulls out a revolver and bang. And the best part is Christopher Reeve. Man,
Yeah.
just he owned this character like nobody I think has owned a character.
Yes.
He does this great reaction, and you can find this online if you haven't seen the whole cut of this movie. He has this whole reaction of, "Oh, you got me," and he takes off the glasses and like, "Yes, it's me," and it's just like, "Oh, it really is you," and he's like, "Well, you could have killed Clark Kent," and she's like, "Really, with blanks?" And it's this awesome moment that you're just like, "Oh, no way!" Like, and there's that.
Also, that's how you'd play Lois.
Yes. Oh
Like-
no.
People...
No, completely. She's incredibly competent and has really a serious side, and she's clearly thinking ahead in moments. The other big thing to notice is like there's little things different, like the Phantom Zone doesn't get broken. I think in the original theatrical cut, the bomb from the Eiffel Tower.
Right. There's an elevator in the Eiffel Tower. There's a bomb in it. Superman flies
Right.
into space, and the explosion causes the magic mirror of the Phantom Zone to crack and allow them to escape.
This one, there's a missile. It's going to take out like Hackensack, I guess, and he redirects it, and it explodes. I mean, there's just total different plot differences. But another really interesting point is that okay, when they confess their love for one another, she knows it's Superman. He takes her to the Fortress of Solitude. He sleeps with Lois while he's still Superman, not as a mortal. And there's an interesting scene. This is the only other mention I'll, to say if you want to see it, because it definitely shows you a totally different take on this character, which, by the way, I hate to say this, a little bit more Snyder-esque than you would think. Donner is more Snyder than certainly Lester was. That there is a moment where Superman speaks to the ghost of Jor-El. And not the ghost, but, the Fortress of Solitude's manifestation.
Memory projection thing.
She witnesses it. So Lois gets to see the interaction. Now, why is that big difference between the theatrical cut and in the theatrical cut? He's already gotten rid of his powers, and the conversation he has is with his mother, not his father.
Yeah.
And the difference is that he, the famous line with his mother is that, "Mother, I love her," right? The conversation he has with his father is that, "I deserve this." It's a totally different arc of the character. Let me just say, it's absolutely worth seeing. If you love Superman, first of all, if you love Superman, if you love Christopher Reeve, it's worth seeing how this had a different vision for him and for the whole line. And honestly, if that movie had come out, I'm not sure you would have had Superman 4. You may have had Superman 3. You would not have had Superman 4. Anyway,
And
that's it.
definitely wouldn't. Do you think we would still have Superman Returns?
Oh.
I mean, Superman Returns is a direct sequel to the Donner cut.
Oh, wow. It had to have been a different movie.
Yeah.
Oh, because wait, Superman Returns is it a sequel to the Donner cut?
Yeah.
Or the Oh, well now that makes there's actually parts that make sense then on that.
Right.
All
I mean,
yeah.
Obviously the Donner cut is also semi-incomplete because there were things that he had intended to shoot that he never got a chance to shoot, so he had to use some of the existing stuff to go on there. So I mean, it's not as pure as you'd like it to be, but it still is nice that that was a long sought after thing. I'm glad we finally got to, even if it's slightly altered, I'm glad we got to finally get that sort of version of it.
Absolutely.
So my next one is interesting because it actually changed my opinion of a movie. So I actually saw a movie, did not like it, and then the director's cut came out, and I thought, all right, I'll give it a chance, and then ended up really liking it, and that was Kingdom of Heaven.
Oh.
So Ridley Scott's Kingdom of Heaven is a Crusades epic in 2005. Orlando, this was another one. I think, once again, movie stars causing more issues than they intended. Orlando Bloom was positioned to be a movie star right after Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of the Black Pearl, and so they put it on, and so he's on the post. I think he's the only one on the poster. I watched it the first time, and it's basically like he's like a fictional character, and they have him interacting with real characters. So I watched the original theatrical cut, and I was like, this is a Mary Sue story. Like, this is basically just like, I'm just going to invent the perfect guy, and he's going to go in and show those Crusaders what's what. And it was like, oh, God, what are you doing? I mean, it was you could tell everybody was taking it very, very seriously, and a lot of money was spent and all stuff, but I was like, this is not really good. This is tourism, and I don't like this. Wow. But when I saw the director's cut, which had, I think, an additional 45 minutes... Wow. Suddenly, it became a true historical epic, and he's just one guy in the midst of all of these factions. Most of the stuff that they add back in are the other characters. So we get to see that it's not just about he's our point of view character. So we're sort of following Orlando Bloom into it, but we get to see all the other factions and their different sides of it and their different beliefs. Now, obviously, Crusades is a very controversial topic, and there was never going to be a thing that everybody went like, yes, that was fantastic. It was a dark period.
Oh no, there's nothing. No, it's all
right.
bad.
And also it happened again and again and again. So this was just one of many. But seeing it this way and actually getting to spend time with all the different people and all the different factions, all the different people who were scheming against each other and plotting and maneuvering and stuff really made it that much better. And once again, this is an astonishing amount of people that get in together. Not only do you have like Orlando Bloom, obviously, as lead, and Eva Green, this was her first big role, Jeremy Irons, David Thewlis, Brendan Gleeson again. There he is again. Oh, Brendan Gleeson's everywhere. Edward Norton. Our boy from
yes.
Edward Norton says, in a mask, you don't even know that it's him.
Right.
Liam Neeson, and then this is what I thought interesting. The further you go, and so those are like your top thing. The ones that don't get talked about are the fact that Michael Sheen is in this movie. Alexander Siddig from Star Trek Deep Space Nine.
Yes.
And Nikolaj Coster-Waldau from Game of Thrones has a big role in this too. Like, it's amazing the amount of people that are in there. I mean, it's once again, is, I think, it's 3 hours. I think 3 hours and some change when it comes out. So like, you might have to see it in a couple settings, but I think it is. If you are going to watch Kingdom of Heaven, if you're on a Ridley Scott kick or whatever, do only watch the director's cut. The theatrical cut is really just Hollywood garbage. Like, just stay away from it. Sorry for the editor who had to put that thing together, but like when you see like the full vision of it, it makes so much more sense and becomes actually what I think it goes from a bad movie to a pretty good one.
This is still okay. I'm thrilled you picked this because I've never seen it.
Okay.
This was in the early days of my child's like life. And
right. Yeah.
Like she was 2, I think.
I believe I think I was working at a movie theater when it came out. So
yeah,
I got to see it for free. So.
Okay, no, because there's a whole couple of years where I didn't see.
I know. I've got a gap too.
So, when I looked at this, is it called the director's cut or is it Ultimate Edition? I see there's an Ultimate Edition out.
Oh, is it called Ultimate Edition? I thought it was called the director's cut, but
I know there's a Blu-ray Ultimate Edition, or there's more. Maybe there's
yeah. So that's it. When the director's cut came, I bought it on DVD, so I don't know.
Oh, there is director's cut. There's both. There's a Blu-ray.
Okay.
There's a Blu-ray Ultimate Edition. Wow.
Yeah, it's the one. As I'm looking at the picture, it's the one in white.
Yes, that's the.
Oh yeah, because actually the DVD was a 4-disc director's cut. So that's the thing is, Ridley Scott is also really good at behind the scenes stuff. So if you are interested in really really detailed behind the scenes stuff, there's a great thing for Kingdom of Heaven too. If you buy I don't know if it's in the digital extras or not, but I know they have it on the Blu-ray and the DVD. And also, just as a side note, if you're interested, one of the best DVD-made documentaries of all time is the one they did for Gladiator. It's astonishingly good. Like it's as good a movie in its own right as Gladiator is. It's so good. So we should do another thing just about great behind-the-scenes extras because there's so many
that might be
unsung. So
that's a good one.
In the future.
There we go. Kingdom of Heaven, great pick.
Kingdom of Heaven,
I want to. Yeah. That's going to be a summer watch for me.
Yeah,
so that's great.
Over a couple of days.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Well, but if I can sit through 4 hours of Snyder Cut, I mean,
true. Did you? I did. It took me a couple of days.
No, I didn't.
I was going to say one.
No, I didn't.
I don't have 4 hours
admit
continuous for anything.
Oh boy.
Barely have it for sleep.
Well, okay, all right. Well, then I guess I'll go. Well, great pick.
Yeah.
All right, then it's time for me, I guess, to cue this one up. Yes, it's Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice.
Ah, okay.
The ultimate.
Right, ultimate. Yeah, so they don't call it
edition.
director's cut; they call it the Ultimate Edition, but it is technically the director's cut.
It's a director's cut, and I realize polarizing movie for people, and I know yes, a lot of my movies are going to be superhero movies. I'm sure. And there's a note on this one I did see where Zack Snyder did an interview where he said, we didn't call it a director's cut because he didn't want it implied that the original was not his. Like, no, it's the Ultimate Edition, just to give it a little difference there. And this one,
Ridley Scott really likes that term because he's done it a couple of times.
Yeah, even for his own stuff.
Even though technically, he's had final cut in just about every movie he's ever done.
I can see it as both ways. I mean, director's cut, you could take it as this is the director's version, or this is the director's special version he's giving you, like under the coat. Like, I get it. It's fine. And if you want to watch this one, by the way, Batman vs Superman, and you're saying to yourself, I don't know if I want to watch it. It's on HBO Max now. They made a big deal about it in the promos for the Snyder cut of Justice League. Mm-hmm. HBO Max made this available, so you can actually watch the ultimate version of this.
Yes, and I believe he is in the process, or has just finished remastering it for 4K.
Yes.
So I don't know when that's going to be available, but I think it's going to be pretty soon. And I don't know if they're going to put that up for streaming, but I know it'll be commercially available.
Okay, now if you're saying to yourself, why would I watch this? I'm not sure if I liked it the first time because it was a 3-hour movie almost the first time. There's a couple things that you want to check out. There is a whole subplot of Africa that has been restored into this, and you get to find out more. I think in the original version, the theatrical version, Lois Lane is in Africa. She's doing some sort of investigative report. There's a photographer with her that gets killed. Well, in the Ultimate Edition, you are confirmed that was Jimmy Olsen.
Yeah.
Like it was, you had to know that when you saw the theatrical version. There's a whole thing that gets added into that. Part of that subplot is there's another character, I believe the name is Zahina Ziri, and there's a whole more thing about blaming Superman she blames Superman for the loss of her family. You get to see far more of the character development of why Batman and Superman are hating each other. Like it's a much richer if I want to say the word richer in a movie involving Batman versus Superman, yes, it does explain a lot of that in. So there's a lot more interesting setup of the lore of Batman within the people of Gotham. You get to see the scene where Batman actually steals the kryptonite from Luthor, which that was a plot point in the theatrical version. Jenna Malone's character, which everyone was talking about when this movie first came out,
Right.
totally cut from the movie. It is Jeanette Clyburn, laboratory technician, and what in the comics she worked for Star Labs, which was a whole thing that they didn't get to in the theatrical version.
Yeah, and Star Wars becomes very important in the Snyder cut of Justice League as well.
Yes.
So they were setting it up then.
Oh no, this is, and you absolutely do. I think I've said this. We've talked on another show about this. If you're into this, if you appreciate, or if you have a liking for this vision,
Yes.
these really go together. This Ultimate version and the Snyder cut of Justice League. Yeah, it's a 7.5 hour tome.
Yeah, exactly. It's a series of television.
It really is. I mean, that's exactly
It's like
that's how you should look at it.
It's a season of Superman, essentially.
Exactly. So if you're into it, this is the ultimate way to experience it, because this is fully what the story he was trying to tell. Last thing, why would you watch the ultimate version? Is if you want a little bit of Batfleck's butt, help yourself. I'm not going to tell you any more on that. You'll just have to see it for yourself.
So another director who is famous for multiple editions of his movies is James Cameron, and I think the most probably famous or controversial of his films that has a director's cut is The Abyss.
Oh, stolen.
Yeah, did I steal that from you? Yeah,
That's all right. That's good though.
Like James Cameron is big on figuring out like this is going to work in the theater and this is going to work for at home. Like he's done it on just about every movie he's ever done, and so he's got and the thing that's great about his stuff is they all work. Like every version I've seen. I've seen I'm like, oh, that was like Terminator 2. I saw in theaters. Oh my god, that was amazing. And you watch the director's cut or the ultimate edition. He has multiple editions of that too. And you go, oh yeah, that's really good too. And Aliens, I mean the same thing. Even Avatar has a couple different versions. But The Abyss was interesting because the first time it didn't really work. And so when you got to see the actual true director's cut, and I actually watched the original director's cut on VHS because one of the first times that they ever put it out. Do you remember this? They put it out in like a deluxe clamshell with a gold foil around it. That was the only way you could watch it. And I'm sure it was formatted 4:3. Or maybe, no, it was letterboxed. That one was letterboxed.
Well,
The original one that came out was 4:3. But yeah, because the original, I mean, I'm not going to recant the whole plot, but basically they cut most of what is gone was the end. Like because in The Abyss is a lot of it is just basically about people. Like there's this extraterrestrial ET strange beings kind of thing going on, but mostly it's about the human element. But that stuff pretty much stays the same. But it's the end that is totally different, where it's about humans being judged for their actions and then having to sort of defend themselves. And so the other one, it just wraps up really quickly, and then suddenly everybody's okay and standing together and happy endings and helicopters fly by and credits. And you go, wait, what the heck just happened?
Yeah, no, the original ending doesn't work at all.
Yeah,
no.
So now they added huge special effects sequence of all these giant waves are going to destroy all of the coastal cities, and then there's a sort of a trial where that humanity is put on, like that Bud, Ed Harris's character has to sort of defend humanity to say that they're worth saving. Whereas like through the whole movie, you didn't really know if he would actually believe that or not, because he's, very irascible and grumpy and that thing. They're like, so most of the guts of the movie are the same, but it makes a huge difference in it. So if you are going through and you want to watch The Abyss, I would recommend not ever watching the theatrical cut. I would say just in your head, just think it doesn't even exist. Just watch the director's cut, because that is the true way that story is. And you can like it or hate it, but like that is the true version of what I think that story should have been all along.
That movie, along the lines of sort of The Thing or Terminator 2, like the whole, like it was 89. So, late in the 80s, early 90s, unbelievable epic special effects extravaganza.
Oh, sure, yeah.
But this aspires to be something much more deeper than that.
Yes.
In terms of like you said, the human development, the human quotient of this.
Right.
And the other thing about, not only do you get the whole extra ending with the tsunamis and everything else, you get much better character development within characters throughout the entire movie.
Right.
And you know what else? I don't know if you know this. You also get bigger credits.
Bigger credits?
Yeah, there's a story about, and I remember this too. The credits they typeset the credits bigger for some reason.
Okay. Like,
It's totally random. Like
they just do a different font or something?
no, like it's just I don't know about that part, but it's just bigger. Like it's or recropped. I don't know what they did, but no, this movie is if you really want to see, if you want to celebrate late '80s, early '90s science fiction that doesn't end in a wars or Trek. This is this is totally something really interesting. Yeah, love it. Great pick.
And stolen. Do you have one that you can slot in its place?
Oh yeah, no,
Because I guarantee you the next two I have will not be stolen.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know about the. Well, oh, well, good.
I'm saying right
well,
now,
good. Then I'm
saying
set.
There's no way that these two.
Then I'm safe. All right, so I'm gonna go back to my superhero well, and I love this movie. I love this movie in the original format. I love it in the director's cut. Yes, it's 2003's Daredevil.
I thought that would be on your list.
And I gotta say, everybody eye rolls like, listen, here's the deal.
Yeah.
Either you hate it. I mean, is the director's cut going to change your opinion of this movie? No, not at all. But if you had any soft spot for this, it is worth seeing the director's cut. One, yeah, it's far more closer to Netflix than not, because the violence and the hardcoreness nature of it is way shot up. But there is the whole middle act, far better flow. Like there's just a whole bunch of stuff, transitions, everything. Like they just do a whole better job of laying out the story. There's better relationships. There's more religion, because then there's the whole.
Of course, that is a vital part of Daredevil.
Exactly, and it has to be. That's his backstory. That's his continuing story.
And more Matt Murdock. I think that's one of the things that really makes the big difference, is you get to spend a lot more time with Matt, not with Daredevil.
Yes. No, so I love it for that. And for you Coolio fans,
yes,
hey, you get Coolio.
Right, Coolio got entirely cut out.
Yes,
he was in the first trailer, and then when in the theatrical release, not a frame.
Yeah, no, like what the heck? And it's an interesting. You get to see more of the what would I say, the cooperation. Like it's much more. There's an investigation going on, right? Like within the story. Yeah, look at it's
and you get to see Daredevil drive a car.
Yeah. Oh, which I mean, scary. No, it's if you were lukewarm or have a soft spot for this movie, definitely, if you've not ever seen the director's cut, see the director's cut.
And if you would like to hear a deep dive on this, I was lucky enough to be invited as a guest to talk about this on Silver Linings. So that episode, I believe, is, if it's not out now, it will be coming out very soon. The boys had me on there, and so we talked about the Daredevil and the theatrical versus director's cut, all that stuff for about 2 hours. So we really got deep into it. So I'm not going to say any more here, because I've talked about it a lot and I don't want to have to repeat myself. But good choice, because obviously that was a thing that we had plenty of things to talk about during that episode. So
very cool.
All right, back to me. So this is another interesting one. I didn't actually realize quite the amount of behind the scenes drama there was on this. I just thought it was one of those fun larks that the company decided to do, like, hey, let's recut that movie and put it out and see if we can make some more money off it. But turns out it wasn't. So before Zack Snyder had justly taken from him, Brian Helgeland had Payback taken from him. So if you remember, Mel Gibson was like, one of the hottest stars in Hollywood at the time. This was well before him being pulled over and then everything falling apart. So he got to do Payback, which was a revenge thriller, based on the novel, and it came out and it did okay. Like, it was a decent movie and stuff too. But I did not realize that what had happened is that Brian Helgeland had submitted his cut and said, "This is what I want to do," and they went, "Haha, no." And fired him off of the movie, replaced him with his own production designer, who went back and reshot 40% of the movie, including hiring Chris Christopherson to come in as a brand new bad guy at the end and recut the entire movie, including adding in what all people love, a voiceover. Remember how well that worked with Blade Runner?
Wow, I did not know this.
I didn't either. It was like they kept it quiet And so they did, and so, but amazingly, apparently, it came out. It made some of its money because at the time it was, and I say the original theatrical cut is decent. Like it's a decent movie, but they allowed Brian Helgeland actually to go back and recut it the way he wanted, like back to his original version of it, and they released it, and it's called the Payback Straight Up Edition. So they didn't actually call it the director's cut; they call it the straight up edition. And so he got to do his original version, which is a bit more grim and gritty, no voiceover. It's a little more hardcore. Like I said, the voiceover is gone, and then it has an ending that's not quite as clean and nice, and like it doesn't end with Mel Gibson like a bag of money under his arm, like with the girl in the other one like walking off into the sunset. Like nope, that's not how a dirty crime noir thriller should really end. And so he did. I'd say, and this is what I'm interested. Make up your own mind. Like watch both of them and see what you think. I think the straight up is a superior version of it, but like it's not enough that I would say like forget the other one. Like they're very both interesting,
Right.
and this almost never happens where you get to see the same movie through two different lenses. I mean, because how different those two things are, just to sort of compare and contrast. Like they all started with from the same point, and they went in different directions. That doesn't happen very often. So even for film fans, it's interesting to go back and sort of compare and contrast. I don't think that's actually. I bought it on DVD. I don't know that it was been available anywhere else because I could not find it on any of the streaming services because they just put out the straight up theatrical one. But it's out there, so it's worth tracking down if you're curious.
Oh,
and I know Mel Gibson's not, the toast of the town at the moment. I acknowledge that. Sure. But I think this from his prior work before we knew what we knew. I think if you can separate yourself from that and go in and watch it, I think it's well worth your time.
And just to add, because I did enjoy that movie when it first came out, cast of great people: Lucy Liu, David Paymer, Maria Bello, William Devane.
Yes.
Yeah. It's I want to see that. I've never seen this. I've never seen that version. I totally now want to see
one of my favorite genres of movies is bad guy worst guy. So instead of having it be like like the clean hero coming into it, like you have a awful terrible criminal and then a criminal who's just a little bit better. Like I love that of just like he's not really a hero or she in a lot of cases too is not really hero, but they're only a hero by comparison to the awful, terrible people that they're going after or doing things to. That stuff is great to me.
Well, I remember the poster. I just brought it up, and I remember these because it was this. The poster was this great shot of classic 80s, 90s Gibson.
Yeah, leather
jacket with the gun drawn, and it says "Get ready to root for the bad guy."
Right.
Which Razor Ramon should have an issue with that, but whatever. I mean, okay, sure, that's great.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah, good pick. All right, so I'm going to go to my backup.
Okay.
And now listen, I'm already going to scratch what I said earlier on in this episode, where I said all these movies we love. This is the bonus one. I don't love it. There's one great moment in it. No, and maybe you'll be surprised. This is the one I picked as my backup.
Okay.
It's the 2016 Supernatural reboot, Ghostbusters: Answer the Call.
Oh, interesting.
Here's why I bring this up. Okay.
Yes.
I went try to go to this movie with an open mind. Mm-hmm. I was, and I'm not going to say I didn't join into the vitriol. Like I wasn't. I mean, it wasn't horrible. It just didn't make sense to me. Okay.
Yeah.
There is the one great scene where Kate McKinnon's character goes nuts on the ghosts, and the old theme kicks in, and it's an awesome orchestral cinematic version. And that I could watch that scene over and over again. It's amazing. The rest of the movie, I mean, here's why though. Okay, and this is an extended cut. Again, is it going to make you love this movie if you didn't like it? No, of course not. But I will tell you, the movie makes more sense.
Yes.
Way more sense in a movie that didn't have a lot of sense.
Yeah.
It adds the sense. It adds more Kevin. Apologies to Chris Hemsworth. I mean, yes.
Kevin's the second best character in that movie.
I mean, so there you go, right? That's what I'm trying to say. Like, there you go. You get more Kevin.
Yeah.
I think there's the puking scene with Melissa McCarthy with the song. It's more. It's just more. The more, weirdly, is better. better being the operative word in that sentence.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
There's a lot you could say about the Ghostly, and maybe that's a conversation for another time. Because there's a lot to unpack there. But I had a similar reaction. I went in wanting to love it, and I did. I kind of felt it wasn't chocolate and peanut butter. It was sort of like, chocolate and I don't know,
Raisins.
Yeah, exactly.
Raisins.
Like,
why would you put
two great
raisins
tastes
in
that
there?
don't necessarily taste great together? It was sort of like, oh, okay, I see what you're doing, but like these don't quite jive. They don't quite match. But Kate McKinnon, I still say
Kate,
Holtzman
yes.
is one of the best characters to come out from that period. She was amazing.
No, and when I'm saying like that scene, no, everything with her is brilliant. It coulda, woulda, shoulda. Yeah. But anyway, but for a movie that you wouldn't think, you wouldn't even think that it would exist. It does,
and I've seen the extended edition too, and I agree with you. I think it does add a lot of stuff to it. I mean, there's, like I said, I think a lot of the problems with that movie is a lot of scenes go on way too long, or like they think they're way funnier than they actually are, and it was like you could just cut. And
except for I can watch Fallon's sidekick Higgins all day long.
Yes,
in the headmaster's office.
But I could do without more discussions of one wonton. Like,
my lord.
Okay.
Never mind.
Yeah, but I digress.
Nice.
But the excellent choice, though. That is, like I said, that is definitely worthy of being on this kind of list. All right, so then my last one on the list is actually a movie that I think the director's cut is worse. So this is actually another one of my favorite movies that they put out the original version. I thought it was phenomenal. I've talked about this movie. If you've heard me on any of the other shows, I probably have brought it up because it's one of those things that I think doesn't get talked about enough, and so I tend up being a champion for it, even though it's still popular. So I'm not going for some weird indie thing. But then I saw they put out a director's cut, and I'm like, oh, fantastic! I like more of the thing I like, and I watched it, and I'm like, oh, I hate this. I hate it. And it's a very small change, but it was enough to really make me angry, and also the fact that it has now become the default version. You can't find the original version now because they've sort of rewritten it to be like, no, the director's cut is the only version of this. They've Star Wars special editioned us, and so it's The Descent, one of my favorite horror films of all time. So The Descent is such a great movie because I think one of the things that a lot of horror movies do wrong is that they spend so much time focusing on the monster that they forget about the characters. And so I know you can have Jason and Freddy and all that and Leatherface and Ghostface and whatever face you want, and that's fine. Like there is a place for that. But the real great horror films, the ones that resonate, like I would say like The Thing. The thing is not great because there's a shape-shifting monster. The thing is great because of that ensemble of guys and that you're with it. And The Descent is the same thing. It is about a group of women who get together every year and go on an adventure together. And so that you get to see one of these. But it's the interpersonal relationships between the women that really make it the best. Now, I'm going to spoil a little bit too. So if you want to see this movie, and I highly recommend you do, try and see if you can track down the original version. Don't do the director's cut. I'm going to spoil a little bit because it's the ending is what changes. The rest of it, I think there may be some little nips and tucks along the way just for violence and stuff too. But it's the ending that is the big change that really, really pissed me off. So in the original version, like it comes down to two women are left. Like they've gone through, they're on this adventure underground. They're spelunking, and I won't say 90%. I'll say 75% of the movie is just the women surviving, just them going through having an adventure. It's only in the end when sort of like a monster type thing shows up and makes things that much worse. Like things were already bad, and now there's monsters, and it makes it that much worse. But by that point, you're in love with these characters, or you're following their stories, or you're emotionally invested in what's going on. So it comes down to the two final women. So I'll try and lightly spoil and not get it. So it comes down to the two main women, and one of them had an affair with the other one's husband. And so this is running through the whole movie is the subcurrent thing of like the two of them. And so when it gets to the end and like they're both going to escape, the one who had been cheated on, like basically takes out the one who had cheated, leaving her to be taken out by them and escapes on her own. Like she like basically like sorry, so like
Okay.
like she takes revenge. So like oh my god, and then escapes. So like so you get a final girl. So basically one escapes at the very end and like makes it like oh like this thing. And so at the end of the movie, like she has escaped. She's pulled herself out of the thing. Like she's the only one of this group to survive, covered in blood and guts and all this other stuff like it. And she gets back. And she like finally has gotten back to her car and drives away. And then is like sitting there trying to like, what the hell just happened? What am I gonna do? And a truck drives by, scares the hell out of her, and so she rolls down her window and pukes, just from the adrenaline and all this kind of stuff. And then as she like sits back, she turns, and in the passenger seat is the woman she killed, like basically like a ghost or vision, or whatever, like ah, and like and then that's sort of like, and then she disappears, and it's like oh, and so like the credits roll, and so the idea is that yes, she escaped, but she's going to be traumatized for the rest of her life. Like she's messed
haunted.
up. Like it's going to be she's going to be haunted because of what she did and all this stuff. Like she's not free. She's just alive. Whew, wow, amazing. So I watched the director's cut. The director's cut does the same thing. She's like sabotage, and she gets out and she gets into the car, and then they cut back, and then she's there with her dead husband, her dead daughter is there, and so what you find out is that she's dreamed that she escaped, but she didn't. So she's back in the cave, and she's surrounded, and like and she has one light. And so the whole thing with the creatures is that because they have no eyes, they go back location. So like any light is to us. So she has one flare left. And so as she's having this vision that she's with her daughter and they're having their birthday party, and she said, like, blow out the candles, honey. And the girl blows out the candle, and it blows, and the flare goes out, and then the creatures descend on her, and credits roll. And I'm like, screw you!
Oh,
like,
wow.
No,
Wait.
Like, there's a certain final girl feel to something where with a horror movie like this, you have to earn your redemption. And there was a whole period where the horror movie went in the direction of let's just kill everybody.
Right.
And
right.
I think that was one of the worst periods of horror. Like the things that resonate that people go is when they fight and they get out. Like, Sydney escapes at the end of Scream. Like she gets, and she,
Right.
like she survives, and she has earned her life. And same thing with all the people who finally, Nancy in the Nightmare on Elm Street series. Like she earned it. Like she got herself out. When you just have the killer or even hostile, like some random force, whatever, just wipe everybody out. What's the point of that? Like that's so nihilistic. And so it seems. I don't know. This is all, of course, in my opinion of like let me put on my horror hat. But like, there's a whole period where like it was just like, nah, they're all gonna die. Like everybody dies. Like bad guys win, you lose, suck on it. And it was like, and so that was in that same time period. And boy, it just pissed me off so much. I was like, nope. She like even betraying her friend, she earned it. She earned living. Like
No,
even tortured, nightmares. She earned her way out of that thing, and to have her taken away in the last minute, no man, come on.
Well, it's
and
okay.
now
First,
that's the only one you can get. If you buy it on digital, that's the version you're gonna get.
so basically, when you watch it, you just have to stop.
Yeah.
She turns to the
when she
ghost,
gets out,
and then
just
boom.
like pause, and then
Just
fast
stop.
forward and watch the credits.
Back button. You're done. So, because the original is great because one, you get this whole idea that okay, the descent, right?
Yes.
A much deeper, more complex meaning of that, right? So understood that. Yeah, that doesn't help. Like you can only get away with the everybody loses like on every fourth Night of the Living Dead movie, right? I mean,
Right.
like the shopping mall implodes, everyone's dead.
Talk about
Zombies
director's
win.
cuts, and Zack Snyder. He did the same thing on Dawn of the Dead.
Yes.
The original Dawn of the Dead.
Yes.
They got away, and it was like, ooh, like they barely made it out. But
And they
then
did.
the director's cut comes along, and nope, they all died. It's
no.
like, why? No, like,
Everybody dies.
yeah, like. I guess I don't know. It's like I like just give me a smidgen of hope. Like I guess I just don't like a nihilistic horror movie, but maybe this is all just my personal opinion as to. And so for clarity's sake, though, I should say that that's the difference between the U.S. and the U.K. release. That's what Wikipedia says. So like in the U.S. this was the release, and the U.K. got the other version. And so, but when you look it up like on iTunes now, it comes up as director's cut. Oh, and it does not have an alternate version.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, you're gonna have to share your other backup because we can't end it on
yes.
that. That
Right.
way-
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Exactly.
Don't end it on
But that's
that.
just. I was just as different is of like it's not just about like directors should always have final cut. No, not always.
No,
Like,
no.
I just wanted to have one at least that shows like just because more doesn't always mean more, and like original ideas are not always best ideas.
Yeah. Yeah.
So my two honorable mentions are one, Waterworld. And I didn't even know there was an alternate cut of Waterworld until I was doing research for this show. It's really, really hard to find, but I found one. But I haven't had time to watch it yet. So I just want to say I know this is out there, and I'm so excited to watch it when I have 3 hours to spend with Kevin Costner. But yeah, so here's how you can. So apparently it's an extra like half an hour. Like, once again. Wasn't Waterworld long enough? Well, I don't know.
No, I loved Waterworld. I loved Waterworld.
I mean, I do. Waterworld has I have a soft spot. I acknowledge all of the flaws of it, but I still enjoyed my time with it. When I went to Universal Studios, they had the Trimaran there, and I took all these pictures of it. I was so excited about it.
The Universal Studios show, the Universal Studios in California had a
that's right.
live action show, one of the greatest live action movie tie-in amusement park shows ever.
Yeah.
Was absolutely incredible. Dennis Hopper, Gene Triplethorne. I mean, are you kidding me? I love that movie.
Apparently, Kevin Costner and Kevin Reynolds, who directed the movie, had a huge falling out and like that. And so I think this is Kevin Reynolds then eventually got to go back and put all this stuff back in. So it's kind of like an unofficial director's cut because it was sort of like under the radar a little bit. But there's an extra like half hour of footage, and I want to see the full expanded version. So if you want to do this, the only way I've found to get it is on the 4K. HD disc release. I don't even know what the official terminology for the 4K discs are. So you have to buy the 4K disc, which has the 4K remastered version of Waterworld, and on that disc is an HD version of the director's cut or the extended cut. I think they call it. I don't think they call it a director's cut. I think it's more of an assembly cut than anything else. And then also has a Blu-ray of the original Waterworld as well. Like I was hoping that it would be on the Blu-ray, but it's not. It's on the 4K. So like, luckily I have an Xbox that can run this, because otherwise there would be another way to see it.
It's only $12.
It's only $12. I know, that was the other thing too. I was like, it's only $12. Great. Like even if I never watched the rest of the thing, I want to see it. So it's sitting right next to my player right now. I just haven't had time to go in and watch it. So I'm not putting it on my list because I don't know if it's any good or if it makes it better or worse. I don't know. But I want to acknowledge the fact that it's out there. So if any other Waterworld fans, you can track this down like Rob is doing right now, adding to cart.
Well, because I'm sorry, I love that movie.
Yeah.
I mean, can I tell you something? I hope there's at least like 3 more minutes of the skinny old guy who manages the oil bowels of the tanker, because
More Jack Black. That's what I hope is on there.
oh, right. And if you're saying, wait, what?
Yeah.
Go watch Waterworld.
That's right.
Yes.
He's like the second in command. Dryland is a myth. And then my last sort of honorable mention, I have to acknowledge the 800-pound gorilla in the room, King Kong. I really enjoy the Peter Jackson King Kong extended edition, even though it really is a multi-day watch. Like I don't think anyone should sit down and watch all. I think that's close to 4 hours as well because. Is it a good movie? I don't know, because I'm so emotionally invested in it because I followed the creation of that movie from the beginning. If you know Peter Jackson and I'm a huge Peter Jackson fan, so I've watched all the behind the scenes of all stuff done. That movie was extensively chronicled, so much so that they actually put out a DVD of the making of it before the movie came out.
The hype for the movie was off the chart.
So you could buy it was in a notebook, and so you open it and there's 2 DVDs in the notebook, and it was just talking about the pre-release stuff and the creation. And so they told the whole story of how it was like around about the time he made Frighteners, like he was going to make King Kong. It was available, and like they made maquettes. They wrote a script. They did a whole thing. They were ready to go, and then it all fell apart. And then he had to fall back on a little something called Lord of the Rings. So he was okay. But then after that was clear, then all of a sudden they're like, well, King Kong's still available. And so they basically threw out everything and started over from the beginning and created the movie. And now obviously the movie has its flaws. It drags. Like they spend a lot of time on Skull Island. Like for a movie called King Kong, they spend a lot of time
Yeah.
not having King Kong like that. This is where my friend Lori always says, "Get to the monkey," because it takes so long to actually get to King Kong. And there's a movie called Kong Skull Island that spends less time on Skull Island than the King Kong movie does. I acknowledge that, but I still really enjoy that, and also really enjoy going back and watching all the behind the scenes of it too. But I didn't put it on my list because of that reason. Because it's hard for me to like stand up here and defend it and say you need to watch the thing because I get it.
It's not my favorite Jack Black. I think we at some point in time we talked about this. Jack Black's doesn't do it for me in this movie. But this movie has been just roasted. Its special effects are so inconsistent. There is a sequence where they're being chased on Skull Island by creatures.
Yeah.
And let's just say it doesn't work out so well, but you will never see a better realization of 30s, 40s Times Square in New York City.
Oh, right. Yeah.
It's unbelievable. Like the whole last 25 minutes.
Yeah, and also at the start too, they spend at least about half an hour in 1920s, whatever it is,
20s,
30s.
1920s.
Yeah.
That's before the crash, I think.
Yeah. That was my other nomination. So there you go. So there was our 10 director's cuts. I hope somewhere in here you found some stuff that you'd be interested in checking out, or you relived going, yeah, I would have said that too. Like, oh, I love the Kingdom of Heaven director's cut, or whatever it was. So,
and if you were looking for I don't know, the Criterion version of Citizen Kane, this was not.
I saw a couple of those things, like the Orson Welles. They went
Metropolis
back to Magnificent
or Brazil.
Ambersons or whatever.
Yeah,
Brazil was
Brazil.
That's worthy of conversation as well. Just didn't make my list because I hadn't seen it in such a long time.
Right. No, I gotcha.
Good job. Of course, you have to acknowledge, Lord of the Rings and that kind of stuff, too. I get that. But, we wanted to do some stuff that was a little deeper, a little off the beaten path. I mean, obviously, these are major blockbusters, so they're not more off the beaten path. But
well, thank you for having me. This is always enjoyable.
Yeah, exactly. We hope you guys found some stuff that you would enjoy. We'll be back with another Take 10 talking about something completely different next time, and we hope that you'll tune in.
End program.
I love the conversations that so many of our hosts have had on their shows. Steve and JJ on Trailer Rewind, Ray and Ocean on Silver Linings, even Tommy's short-lived Wait, Hear Me Out.
So many listeners want to make sure they've watched the movie before tuning in to any discussion on our podcasts. Well, the best way to watch the movie is to look it up on our watch page.
Our watch page lists all the movies that we have discussed on all the shows from the Next Reels family of podcasts, including the one you're listening to right now. It's your one-stop shop for Apple and Amazon links where you can rent or buy the movie.
Trailer Rewind movies like Raw,
The Nice Guys,
The Peanut Butter Falcon,
or Free Fire.
No, Wait, Hear Me Out movies like Josie and the Pussycats or Return of the Living Dead.
Or Silver Linings movies like Repo Men, Daredevil, and The Wolfman.
Plus, by using those links to rent or purchase movies, Apple and Amazon will show us a little bit of love, which allows you to support our family of shows with minimal effort.
It's a great way to support the show and find something to watch.
That's right. Head over to thenextreel.com/watch to pick out your next movie and start watching today.